Welcome, everybody, to Visionary Psychics. I'm Sara Wiseman, and we are here with one of our visionary psychics, Jenny Sierzputowski. Jenny, welcome to
Hi.
our discussion, our conversation. So, Jenny is a super gifted psychic medium and works with people, especially, it seems like you have a little bit of a focus on people who are moving from we go up the road to middle age, and then we have all these experiences, and then we're shedding identities past middle age, and you're kind of working with the groups of people who have had a lot of life experiences.
Well put.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about. I don't even know. We've known each other kind of a long time, and I don't even know how we met actually.
I do.
Oh, okay. Tell me, because yeah, I have don't know. It's all a blur, is my phrase.
Well, as we know, the universe doesn't know random. And I was in a place in Chicago in a high rise trying to figure out why I was starting to feel things. And I Googled and you popped up.
Hmm.
And I was just thinking, I was interested in just developing psychic abilities and took your 28-day course, which came super easy and that terrified me.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just watched that video again of what I watched to learn if I wanted to work with you.
Mm. Hmm.
And it was many, many years ago. It was in 2011.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. That's a long time ago. Well, and you said that it came very easy for you, and that's what I have been finding with um, people that go forward in this exploration, and that was my experience too.
Yeah.
I was shown a couple things by a couple people way early, and they were like, "This is how you do, say, the clairvoyant rose," and boom, it's like, "Oh, that's so simple. Is this what it is? Yeah, that's
Mhm.
all it is. Oh, I know how to do this." So tell me about your when mediumship especially started to come to you.
Yeah.
What was that
I,
about?
I often say it's, kind of a linear experience. We started to open the healing touch, which is I'm energy healer on this end, and the other end started to just come at me. And I think I think the first time I truly experienced it, I had a friend whose husband passed, and I didn't ever meet him, and she was a new friend to me, and he came busting into my field, which knocked me off my stature because I knew how my vibration felt, but I didn't know how a departed soul felt. And he had a very specific message, and I couldn't deal with myself all day until I delivered it. And so that was when I thought, oh boy, I think I have a purpose here, and
Hmm.
they're going to let me know. So that was really, it was just kind of all of a sudden. And I kind of think we started working on it in your class.
Hmm.
So I think I was just starting to work on it, but I think until you just practice a little bit and really get to feel the difference between your own vibration and the departed souls, do you understand really what you're dealing with? And then you decipher, is that my feeling or that is it something else? And once you get there, then you know the difference.
What are some of the ways when you feel that feeling somebody else is here
Yes.
that you begin to parse out? It was such an odd word, but that's what came. Who they are and who they're here for.
I, because I have just a sense of knowing, um, even though I've never seen someone before, I'll get a clear indication of who it is most of the time.
Hmm.
If I'm helping someone who's got a spirit in their home and they can't really figure out how to deal with it, they may come visit me the day before and give me
Hmm.
an inkling.
Hmm.
Maybe the whiff of wind around my ankle or my knee indicated for me personally that it was a child,
Hmm.
which was kind of surprising. I don't feel as much emotion and heartache as I do just a knowing or a visual or a sense. But a lot of times learning to decipher this air moving around our body a little bit that is more than normal is just a sense that you know they're there,
Mhm.
you know? And that's all just part of the, the learning to, like you always say, I guess, either peel back the layers of the onion or really start to get in tune with how you feel. And you can't do that
Mhm.
till you get super quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's so interesting for me because I'm not um departed oriented I'm guide oriented, which is, I mean, everybody's got their little niche in this whole giant metaphysical
Yes.
world. Um but I have that sense too. It's like you just sense there's something else there.
Mhm.
And then like guides especially are often like really tall, at least the guides I have. So you sense like this, even now, like, oh, this presence. And then you kind of start to
Wait for
wait
it.
for it. Yeah. Now, even now, I'm like, okay, so there's guides here, which they always are here, but um, that surprises me. And so
Mhm.
now I'm kind of like, do they have something to say? And then with mediumship, I'm actually surprised on this recording now that we're doing. A lot of times when the departed do come, at least for me, like with a client, maybe somebody's parent will come in or something that has passed, and the phone lines will go out, the
Yeah.
connection will drop, the lights will go. What do you have those kinds of signs or interruptions when someone's trying to get
Oh,
you?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to be giving a message, unbeknownst to me, I was going to be giving a message to someone whose child had passed. And he
Hmm.
came to see me. I didn't know it was him, and he was flickering my lights as I was trying to take a nap and was super disruptive. And it wasn't until I received the message from someone else, actually, that I knew it was him. So, yeah, they mess with lights. I communicate with my mother regularly through one light in my kitchen.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's like a strobe light laugh fest. I mean, it's like the most joyful thing
Yeah.
you could ever experience. And I only know because she's kind of been doing this for a while. She's
Hmm.
been doing this through several homes, and that's just her thing. And it's
Hmm.
always in the kitchen.
Hmm.
And it's always when my brain is a little distracted from reading
Hmm.
instructions that kind of can have a chance to come in.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. One of the super regular departed for me is my dad, and he uses the technique, and he was not a metaphysical person in any way. Uh, he uses the technique of changing his outfit, and then that gives me, like, he'll often come in um, like a Hawaiian shirt or a golf
Yeah.
shirt, like kind of holiday. But
Uh-huh.
then when things are more serious, he'll come in like in his business suit, like ready to go.
Yeah.
And and occasionally he's come in like workman clothes, which is hilarious because he was never a workman by any stretch of the imagination. Once you've spent a childhood having pictures actually duct taped to the wall instead of nailed, you know that being
Yeah.
a workman is a gift. So, what are some of, like, when you were working with people, and so usually people come to you, they want to have
Yes.
have messages from the departed. How do you deal with their grief or the emotional aspect of this is going to really happen, and
Mhm.
the departed, what usually happens for that person?
So I don't do a lot of just readings for the departed.
Hmm.
What really happens is somebody might be looking for some guidance because they can't figure out how to get through a part of life.
Hmm.
And so it is the psychic side of me that is a lot. I'm able to get some really pertinent information, specific things about their past. It's their departed loved one that'll show up and give me incidental details. And it is partnering those two that makes the session, first of all, very comprehensive,
Hmm.
because I've it's kind of like the departed soul piggybacks along, but it isn't so invasive that it shudders. But a lot of times, things I have to say are really powerful to the person I'm working with because
Hmm.
they're just such details. They're like, "Oh, I forgot about that incident." Well,
Mhm.
yeah, well, that's what led to that misbelief you're carrying along. Do you see?
Yeah,
So it's,
yeah.
I don't really kind of want to do just mediumship readings. I think I have such a bigger
Mhm.
role to play. And also what we do is we then can do some releasing energetically through some chakra work. And so it's kind of a pretty big package when we get together.
Yeah. So the departed are coming in as um, they're coming in with the puzzle piece that that
Hmm.
person is missing,
Yep.
maybe that, and because it's the departed, it is so much more surprising and like it's a disruptor in a very good way. Like,
Yes.
oh, no one could have known this, or oh, I haven't thought about that, or oh my goodness, this is what I'm receiving. It's like the shock adds an extra impetus to the information, which is
And
very good.
And actually, I will just say that what's remarkable about a session with me is there's probably going to be tears, which are super duper important to
Yeah,
releasing, but there's
yeah.
also laughter, quite hysterical laughter. And we
Uh-huh.
end up getting to go through the gamut, but the laughter comes from understanding. They now have an understanding and they now have the thing they needed to move forward with whatever gifts that they already have. For example, I had a woman come to me and she really wanted to be a medium, and that was something that came up in our in the preview for her. I did like a pre-reading, and um, it was just one misbelief that was when she was very tiny, and it was a dialogue with her and her mom that didn't believe in this stuff,
Hmm.
and she just was, she couldn't stop crying, but it was crying of joy
Yeah,
really to get
yeah,
to that point. So that just lifts me. That's why I do this stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
I got goosebumps.
Well, and it seems that I would guess that you've had so many experiences with people by now that um, kind of like I feel like nothing surprises me anymore.
Ouch.
Like somebody that somebody could, hesitantly reveal like their deep shame. It's like, yeah, I've
Mhm.
heard that 6 times already, um, and there's nothing that's unfaceable. Like
Mhm.
even if the emotions get intense, like you've seen it all,
Yes.
you know how to manage in a
Yes.
way that's going to help the person. You can be a strong support because you've had all these experiences and navigated them already.
I remember I went to see a psychic and she was a psychic medium and she said, well, you've lived about 1,700 times by now. I'm like, no wonder I
Well,
like,
that's why.
no wonder I get it all and I'm so accepting.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
We carry that stuff with us, you know?
When you look at how, look, I'm noticing that there's a really big change in these younger generations, much different than even when you and I were young. We might have thought we were so different, but I kind of don't feel that we were as different as these upcoming younger generations. What do you feel about, and in terms of like the whole psychic development, opening to the different realms, this new openness of these younger
Yeah,
folks?
well, you're right. There's definitely been a shift. I'm seeing more and more young people. I'm encountering more and more young people. I just worked with an 18-year-old guy.
Yeah.
So gifted. His mom is too. His
Hmm.
grandma is too. You know,
Yeah.
it's just this family generational gift. But I think it's becoming so accepted, even in corporate America. I just went to a women's conference, and the theme was basically, find your superpower, and meditation was throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
So I just think we're all waking up as a world, and it's starting younger. I mean, if I don't know if I answered your question, but I definitely
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. Things that in a corporate world, even 10 years ago, that would have been maybe not 10, but 20 years ago, that would have been off the table, unaccepted.
Yes.
And so when we're beginning to connect into this collective consciousness, of course, everything's going to change.
Yeah.
Um, Back to the departed, because I'm kind of interested. What? You had mentioned a little earlier, maybe before we started recording, I can't quite remember, but that some of your departed are really old, like really, really old. What's the gamut of what ages they're coming from?
Well, I mean, I was sort of a little bit being facetious with that. But I guess it sometimes surprises, I will say this, it sometimes surprises my clients when their great grandma came
Mm-hmm,
and maybe they didn't know him or didn't know him well.
mm-hmm,
So I can't say that I really do much prior life work, and
mm-hmm.
I'm not really feeling that.
Right.
I think my clients that are needing me are needing somebody they can relate to, in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Um, I remember I did have a client that her grandmother showed up and she said, "Oh, she's still alive. She transcends time, obviously." And I was like, "Oh, I did not
Mm-hmm,
really realize that that was possible." So
mm-hmm.
she was joining us and needing to tell her things. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I see it all.
I think that just like mediumship, guides, past lives, crystal healing, again, everybody's got their little
Mhm.
niche area. We can't all be plumbers. Some of us need to be electricians. It's just we got to fix the
Right.
house, sort of. What do you think when you're just looking not necessarily around the departed, but where do you find the blocks for people usually? Is it misbeliefs from the past? Is it fear? Or are you noticing any kind of change in who you've been seeing recently?
There for a while, I saw a few people who had dealt with some pretty abusive relationships. Um, but a lot of, I'll say this, people who are trying to uncover their spiritual gifts, almost all of them have been when they are just about 4 to 6 years old. And
Mm,
it was a misbelief. It was being told something that had to do with that uh, area that they needed most to uncover and start to do work in. That's blown my mind. It's
hmm.
consistently that age.
Huh. So that's the age of where they just have language and thought. They're just about to move into that very first stage of independence from the parent, kindergartenish, just about. Like they're still super under the protection or the abuse of the home, whichever it is, but they're just starting to separate a little
Mhm.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, mm, I don't know.
yeah.
I, I feel like most of it's been misbelief.
Hmm.
We're good about that, imprinting on our children the things that we believe in. And I know as a mom, I tried to consciously allow my kids to make decisions, especially about religion.
Hmm.
Just you need to figure it out because I've just recently, really had a kind of revelation about spirituality and religion coming together and working beautifully. And it took a little bit,
Hmm.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been thinking coming out of several religious traditions and then moving to a place of this idea of the personal spiritual practice. But one of the things organized religion does offer is this direct community,
Mhm.
which is pretty important.
It
So
is important
we can't just all wander by ourselves. We
because
have
it's
to,
lonely. It
yeah,
can be real lonely because
yeah,
a lot of people, they're like, what do you do? So, yeah, I mean, having a community of like minded people is a big deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
What other things come to mind for you, or what's popping into your mind now that you feel like you should mention or talk about?
You know, I think one of the gifts I've really wrapped my heart around that I've developed, and you do when you're developing your spiritual gifts and learning to decipher whether the feelings are yours or not.
Mm-hmm.
As a lot of people are very sensitive to community and to world events. it's really easy to take that stuff on and think that we own it when we get up. And if we can learn to immediately know, okay, wait, I can let that go. That's just not anything I need. Meditation obviously helps with that, getting centered and grounded so that we're not carrying around all the burdens of the world. But learning to figure that out was such a big deal for me. I have been sensitive all my life, and I didn't have the tool of, do I own that or not? And that is incredibly helpful, especially with all that we're going through right now in the world with all the
Yeah. Can you
um,
give, does a specific example come to mind for you on that?
well, I think going through the initial quarantine from the pandemic really was difficult, and feeling isolated. And I was able to realize, hopefully not too late into that year, but I was going into meditation and getting connected and centered and bringing back the joy, because I feel like, that is one of my gifts, is I'm a bit of a cheerleader and I'm an encourager and all of that. And so, turning off the TV and the radio and all that kind of stuff, but just realizing this thing that we all feel, I don't have to feel that each and every day, all day today. Yeah, I
Right.
just kind of can, let that go and go in for a few minutes and get, my chakras in alignment, and, whatever, everybody has their own little routine. But that's
Mhm.
probably the strongest thing in my mind, was learning to just, look, I've got the abilities. I can just let this stuff kind of go. But it can
Yeah.
be overwhelming at first when there's something really scary.
Yeah, that idea of all of our screens and our phones, and
Yeah.
they're all portals to
Yes.
this stream of group thought. And yeah, we kind of want to pay attention to kind of have an awareness of what that is, but we don't have to live in that particular stream of fear and anxiety.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of like the Buddhist idea of like what is right in front of me, like right now, and then in the physical plane, and then also what's right in front of me in other dimensionals besides outside of that particular stream of fear. Like there's such a big universe. Do we really need to pay attention to that little piece,
Mhm.
even though it seems overwhelming at the time, that it's on everybody's.
Right. On the
Yeah.
flip side of that, I will say, from the more joyful standpoint, when we learn how to decipher how we feel, our body, our energy, just our own, um, and then we allow ourselves to kind of feel what's outside of us, and then learn to just uh, follow kind of the breeze, which is what I've really tried to
Mhm.
train
Yeah.
myself to do all through the years. We get to experience some really special stuff.
Yeah.
We get to have encounters with some really special people. And if we're here to lift people up, and we have the opportunity every day, all day long, if we're going to listen to it, that's what I usually do in the morning, is I just say, show me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
have some wonderful encounters with people, and it, the return smile and all of that. It just keeps you lifted all the time. It doesn't hurt when you need to find that parking spot.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
mean, there's obviously a lot of pluses, and you can really leverage your life,
Hmm.
your work life, your personal life, when you learn how to develop this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to teach every single person I come in contact with how
Yeah.
to be their own powerhouse, their own, um, just tap into their own superpower. Yeah.
Yeah. To the words that I would use for that is like we learn how to be completely connected to the flow state of the universe trying to bring us to our
Yeah.
highest potential. So um, getting rid of a lot of that chatter that's not even relevant, and
Hmm.
connecting in and then tracking where we're being led is pretty amazing. Any last thing you'd like to say about your work or what you've learned? Um, Anything you're focusing on now?
I would say, it's been a journey, but really learning to trust that each and everything that comes in when I am in my best place, in my best space, is, 100% accurate.
Yeah.
And I've really learned to trust all of that. And I know that it's 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 helped so many people. It's what I really love to do. But I think I'm one of those, I don't know, kind of unusual peoples where I feel like I got to do all three things. I got to do the psychic part. I've got to do the mediumship part, which just comes,
Hmm.
because there's a message. But the energy and the energy healing part is just all encompassing and so cohesive to making that whole 45, 50 minutes really
Hmm.
special.
Yeah.
And I just feel blessed every day that I have been able to kind of figure this out, and everyone can figure it out. It just
Yeah.
takes a little bit of effort and,
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone can figure it out, maybe not with those three specific
no,
areas that you have,
right,
but everybody can figure out their piece of
right,
this
that's right.
pie, sort of. Yeah. Good. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, and I'll
Oh
put
my
the
goodness, it's
details
been
of
my
how
pleasure.
people can contact you below. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Sarah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.